Today I will talk all about starting over and moving to Bali. So I'll share a little bit about my personal experience with starting over at 30, or in my 30s, in the beginning of 30s, and moving to Bali, and how I found out that it was time for a change, why it was time for a change, and yeah, basically my experience of getting there and then eventually landing in Bali. So, first of all, before my life changed, before I started from zero, I had a seemingly perfect life. I had a beautiful partner, I had a beautiful life where we traveled every month. I feel like we traveled every weekend somewhere else, visiting friends. We were moving every 1.5 years to another country. And yeah, I had a pretty busy lifestyle in that sense, but always exploring, being out and about, and basically having a beautiful life full of action and distraction, I would call it now. Not distraction, I loved my life for the longest time until one point where I started to realize, okay, I'm just starting to fill a void. Like, I'm just planning the next trip. If I didn't know yet where I would go next, what next thing I had planned, I would start to feel I need to fill a void. So I always planned the next trip, the next getaway, the next weekend trip with friends, or I would go excessively shopping on the weekends. Um, so I feel like I was always planning for something, to have something to look forward to, because my everyday life I didn't enjoy. I didn't enjoy where I was living, what I was doing, and I just tried to make the best of my situation, which I was doing for the longest time, because I feel like, or I'm generally a very satisfied person. I don't need many things to be happy, but I started to realize that I do need certain things to be happy, and my life, the way I was living, was no more satisfying me. The things that used to fulfill me and excite me started to feel bland. Like, I didn't feel much excitement anymore, and I also found myself more and more moody, um, easily getting heated, easily getting frustrated, and yeah, I started to realize that my life, the way I used to live it, started to no more fulfill me, and I also feel like I fell out of alignment. I was having a beautiful life, but it felt more like an entertainment. Like, I'm watching a movie and I see my life just floating by in front of me, and it's a nice entertainment, but I'm not feeling fulfilled by what I do. And yeah, that has been the biggest thing. Also, I felt like where I was at, I couldn't grow anymore. Every time I felt like I'm growing, I'm like outgrowing my old personality, I was met with conflict with the people around me, with the situations around me, because things started to fall out of alignment. And at the time when I started to feel that for the first time, that feeling of that nudge of wanting to change my life, or I need something else, I felt like already that I needed a change, but I didn't know what I needed. Um, and yeah, every time I started to slightly change and be more myself, I met conflict no matter where I went. And for me, as an avoidant person, conflict is something I would always avoid. I would rather run away from it. And whenever I felt like that I'm not understood, instead of keep on being myself, I lost myself again. I went back to the old version of myself just to make life the way I lived it happen, or I made it work. And yeah, I did that for a while until I couldn't do it anymore, until I realized if I lose myself one more time, that's it. I can't afford to lose myself anymore. And that's when I realized, okay, I need to do the things I want to do. I need a change in my life. And yeah, fast forward that became the biggest change of my life. I would say the biggest foundational break. Like, I think I've never lost so many things at once. I lost my entire life the way I had it. I lost my entire foundation that I built over the last years. I built such a beautiful life that I thought I will live this forever. I will be with the person I was. I would be with that person forever. I was 100%, 1,000% convinced that nothing could ever tear us apart. But yeah, over the years we just started to drift in another direction. We wanted different things, and that led to a breakup, and that was the worst of my life, because if you've been with someone for 11 years and you have a beautiful relationship, you think you're going to stay forever together, and I didn't want anything to change. But yeah, sadly that did change, and with that I lost not just a best friend, I lost my emotional safe space. I lost the entire life that we've built together. I not lost the lifestyle, because I could still have that travel lifestyle if I want to, but I felt like I really needed to settle somewhere. I need a grounding. I need a place that I call home. And that became louder and louder over the last years, that I realized, okay, I love this travel lifestyle, but I need a community of real friends around me. I want genuine people around me. I don't want to be superficial, and I don't want to draw superficial people in my life. But that kept happening because I was acting superficial or shallow myself. So there were so many things that I wanted to change in my life, and I just wanted to live a bit more of a simple life and just live a harmonious life. And personal growth and becoming emotional mature has been one of the biggest focuses for me. So being able to grow up as a person, and you think you grow up in your 20s, or by the time you're 30 you think you grow up, but we might be a grown up, right, an adult, and we have an adult life, but that doesn't mean that internally you are grown up. And that's what I realized more and more, that I realized, okay, I hit 30 and I still struggle with communicating properly. Like, it's really hard for me to set healthy boundaries and not worry about what other people think. And yeah, just in general, communicating and speaking what's on my mind, and not hold back or always act like everything is fine when things are not fine. And I acted like that for so many years that I started to get so tired of it, that I realized, you know what, nothing in my life is more important to me than living a harmonious life, living truthfully and authentically. And I always thought I am authentic, but I wasn't really authentic to myself or honest. So I felt like, okay, it's time, I need to become real. I want real connections, genuine connections. I don't want to just act fine on the surface, but underneath there's a big void in between my relationships with people. And yeah, so that became the biggest focus. And so yeah, I struggled a lot with changing my life, because in the outside my life looked so perfect, and even logically I often battled, or had a battle with my mind about thinking, what is going on? Why do I want to change my life? My life is perfect. I like the way it is. So logically my life was great, but emotionally I felt not fulfilled, not what I truly wanted. Or in my heart I didn't feel that that's what I truly want, that that's what truly satisfies me. And so that's why it took me a while to actually taking the leap, because that's the most scariest thing. You feel in the inside that you need to change something, or you really want a change, you want a different life, but it scares you too much, and your mind comes up with all these excuses as to why you should stay where you're at. And you try to convince yourself that things are not too bad, and especially the people around you, they might notice that you're changing, you want something different. So if you don't have a solid support system that is able to listen to what's going on and support you and not judge you when you're changing, that can make it extremely hard if you're dealing with people that try to guilt trip you or tell you, ask you what's wrong with you, you have everything, and they don't truly see what's going on, what's the bigger picture, what's lying underneath that unsatisfaction. And I think many people have that. They don't know why they feel so unhappy or unsatisfied, because it's often something that logically doesn't make sense, right? We often have everything we need and way more, but that is actually not what's fulfilling us, right? We seek something that fulfills us, whether that's living in a place that we truly enjoy or working a job that actually fulfills us, even if we make less money. So before, I would prioritize all the wrong things in my life and just trying to make it work because I didn't want to be difficult. I wanted to make a relationship work with a certain lifestyle that required us to travel all the time and move to another country. So it requires some personal sacrifice to be able to live that life. And I did that for so long, which was perfectly fine, but eventually it didn't make sense anymore because I started to prioritize different things, and that made everything harder. Yeah. So that's when I realized, okay, there is no way around it. I need to change. And no matter how much that scared me, I knew deep down that it was the right decision. And when I started to have those realizations, I felt like I'm connecting more and more back to myself, and changing the life actually felt less and less scary, although it was extremely scary because I lost my entire foundation. Losing a partner, a home, a job, basically everything, and starting over completely in a new country, in a new continent, scared me a lot, especially if you lose everything that you've once built. But besides losing all that, I feel like I literally lost everything. My entire foundation was shaking, and like as if somebody was ripping off my entire foundation so I can be built from anew, but from a more aligned path. Kind of connected me back with myself. Like in the worst moment of my life, somehow I was connected more deeply with my inner guidance, as deeply as I probably never felt it before. So I lost one thing, but I gained the connection to myself again, and that is the most important thing in my life, knowing what I truly want, like being connected to your inner compass that is telling you where you should go. Because before I moved to Bali, I struggled for a whole year of what I'm gonna do with my life. I was battling between AOB, and I was starting to get to a point that it was so exhausting and so frustrating because I always knew exactly what I wanted, but this time I totally didn't know what to do. And being in that feeling where you don't know what to do, it's such a frustrating feeling. And when you hang in there for too long, eventually you get to the point where one day you know what to do, you know what decision you need to make. And that's when it hit me, when I realized, okay, there's no way around it. And that's also when a beautiful message from one of my friends popped back into my mind. She told me one time when I was talking to her that the only way through, or the only way to get to where you want to be, is going through it, going straight through the challenge, the struggle, the pain. There's no way around it, just straight through it. And I heard that in the back of my mind, and I realized, okay, she's right. There's literally no other option. I need to go through it, through all the ugly and scary things in order to get to where I'm supposed to be. And again, I've been connected to that inner guidance, which gave me all the strength and the belief that I knew that I was on the right path, even though my mind was convincing me that it's the wrong choice. My mind wanted to keep me in the comfort zone, but my heart was guiding the right way, and I was just following that heart's desire. And funny enough, when I went on that path, suddenly all the opportunities were starting to open up. When before I was struggling to make things work, I feel like no matter what I tried to do, I met that with rejection, and I wondered what is going on with my life, why is nothing working out for me. And as soon as I decided, okay, I need that change, all the things started to appear, all the things that helped me move closer to where I'm supposed to be, especially supporting that change in my life, came to me. Like suddenly I had the right jobs and opportunities that came to me seemingly out of nowhere. I applied somewhere a year ago, and then suddenly a year later a message, an email hits me saying or asking me if I wanted to come for this job opportunity. And all these jobs suddenly lined up that helped me to get through losing my life. So I lost my life, but I kind of lost it in a way that I still had these safety nets, like suddenly jobs coming in. They also took me out of the place where I was living to another country. Like for example, before I was living in Germany, and then I suddenly had a job opportunity to go to Namibia. So going there helped me to process the change easier, because I was out of my natural environment or my usual environment where I wasn't that happy, and being far away, not just distracted by work, but I also could really focus on what I wanted, and it helped me make all these decisions to slowly change my life. And yeah, then I also decided to book a one-way ticket to Bali, because I had already lost everything, and where I was at there was nothing left for me. So I decided, okay, now or never, I moved to Bali and I start there from zero, which wasn't as scary because the year before I kept traveling back and forth for different jobs. So I was there always 2 months, and then 1 or 2 months back in Germany. So back and forth, which is why I felt like, okay, I've been already in Bali now so many times. I networked, I had jobs there. So it only feels natural to move there now. Although I didn't have a solid plan of what I'm going to do there, I knew in the back of my head, okay, I have certain connections there already. There might be a possibility for me to work and to establish a life there. So I booked a one-way ticket and I left. And I got there, and I still felt scared of the new life, because I lost literally everything that made me feel safe, financially, emotionally, physically. But I arrived in Bali, and with no expectations, things also started to suddenly show up. Suddenly I've been also contacted, and the place I worked for, they told me that a position just opened up because one person just left the job, and they offered me the job. So that was just magic. All these opportunities were just magically appearing, which proved to me that if you're supposed to go somewhere and you really follow that heart's desires, you will have the right opportunities coming in that help you and support you. When you are supposed to be somewhere, I feel like life is naturally supporting you, and things come seemingly effortlessly. Of course, they don't just come out of blue skies. I mean, maybe sometimes it feels like that, but I believe it's like a support that's been building over time. And then when you're ready to take those opportunities, they start to show up. When you're ready to take action, they show up. And before, like I said, I was working so hard. I was trying to make things work, but literally nothing was working out. And now one opportunity after the other was starting to show up. And not just that, also with every month, I felt like I was getting more ahead. Like I was starting to find the right place to live that made me feel good. I doubled my income literally every month. So I started out small, literally from zero, but every month my income was doubling. So I started to see, okay, I'm able, or I'm actually seeing that I can live here, that I can finance myself, that I can finance that new lifestyle. And yeah, that was just the biggest blessing for me, that I realized when you're in the right place, things will start to work out for you. And even if you don't know why, you don't have all the answers, you literally don't even logically understand what's going on, but suddenly the right experiences come, suddenly the right people will appear, the right opportunities will come. And I also believe all the things that your heart deeply desired will show up. And that's exactly what it was for me. I suddenly met amazing people, new friends that feel so natural to hang out with, that don't feel like forced connections, no superficial small talk, and the right community that makes me feel safe. Like, I'm living so far away from my home in a completely new country, continent, and culture, but I feel more home than ever. So the people also make you feel like you're home, you have a community, you're not alone. And yeah, also so many other things I always wanted started to show up. For example, a baby cat. I've been wanting a cat for 10 years, but because of the lifestyle that I used to have, I couldn't have one. Or I told myself I cannot have one, otherwise I couldn't live that lifestyle. So now I have a little baby cat. I have a partner that I always wanted. I was telling myself, okay, in this new life, if I'm starting from zero, what I really value in my life is to grow personally and to live my life based on a deep harmony. And I wanted to have a partner that embodies that also, that's acting out of a deep harmony, that is naturally so satisfied and harmonious inside, and also one that's approaching life with open arms, approaching life with an open heart, and not being closed off or distrustful of people. So I was telling myself, or I was talking to the universe, I said, you know what, if you can hear me, if you can give me one thing, if I would ever have a partner again, I want him to be this, like, harmonious in the inside, completely emotionally stable, and someone that I can personally and emotionally grow with. And sure enough, that person suddenly showed up out of nowhere. And at first I didn't realize it, because my mind, again, was looking and analyzing the situation out of a completely different perspective. But my heart knew exactly, okay, this is the way. So I followed that. And yeah, in the beginning, it took me a long time to really settle. Not physically, I settled fine, but emotionally, it took me a long time to really process losing that old life and just going through all of that. I often struggled and asked myself, why is this happening? And although whenever I was truly connected and sit down and meditate, I knew exactly why this is happening, but my mind often tried to distract me or tried to lead me back to the comfort zone when things started to get difficult. When I was met with a lot of challenges, I was always just transported back to my old life. So it was a bit of a mind struggle, which maybe I can share in another video. Once you start changing your life, the difficulties that you're going through, you know, the constant reminding yourself of why you're changing your life and sticking with your decision and not trying to run back or wanting to run back when things start to get difficult. This is also really challenging. And yeah, this is basically my story of starting over from zero, moving to Bali. I hope I covered all the topics that interest you, since I made this questionnaire on Instagram of what videos you want to see. Most of you guys voted for this topic, starting over from zero, moving to Bali. Basically, yeah, that's been my story and why everything happens. And I think why that happens for most people, that your life is starting to fall apart, or you feel like you need a change in your life, or you need a total new life change, is because the life you used to live is no more as aligned as before and doesn't fulfill you anymore the way it did before. And that's simply because you change as a person. You change every couple of years, all the time. Or most people, most people change. And when you change internally, then also externally, your life will mirror who you are. That's what I believe. Your external world will mirror your internal world a lot of times. So when you change internally, then the life you used to live, the old version that you were, naturally doesn't align no more with that new version of yourself. And that's a really hard realization. It's a really hard and frustrating way to accept. First of all, to accept that for yourself, that you're changing, you're no more the same. That's already hard to integrate in your everyday life, but then it's even harder when you have people that don't support you, that meet you with frustration or anger, or trying to guilt trip you back into who you were before. It requires a lot of strength internally to keep listening to yourself and to not let other people distract you from what you really feel. And I truly believe if you have people in your life that are meant to be there, it's when they are supporting you, when they truly listen to how you feel and not right away project everything onto themselves. And that's the biggest problem that I had in my life, that I would always have people that projected everything on me. So they projected their fears on me. When I told them that I need a life change, they took it so personally. They made it all about themselves instead of truly listening to what's going on inside me, truly listening and understanding, or trying to understand why I'm seemingly changing, why I want a different life. And that made it extremely hard, because like I said, when you feel like you need to change something in your life, it's already difficult to navigate that path. And it's even more difficult when you have nobody else supporting that, when you go through that completely on your own. But that's again also when I realized that more than ever I was connected back to my own compass. In the end of the day, it didn't matter what people around me said, even when everybody was against my decisions. I was so rooted in that deep connection, deep compass inside of me, that nothing would have led me astray, nothing would have convinced me otherwise, which is why I was going for what I really felt like, what I needed. And it just proven to me that it was right, that intuition was right, the heart desire was right, because now I'm in a place where I feel deep fulfillment in the people I hang out with, the work I do, the everyday life that I'm living. And that is something so fulfilling and so satisfying when you live a life that feels aligned, when you enjoy your everyday life, even if you don't do anything special, even if you spend all day at home doing nothing, but you feel like this life is fulfilling, this life is true to who I am and what I want out of life, and not trying to live a life where you're just pretending or acting. So that was something else I wanted to mention. So that is what I can remember, what I wanted to share with you guys. So that was basically my story of starting over at 30. I know it can be extremely scary, especially if you think that you are already a certain age, you cannot change anymore. You can always change at any age, it doesn't matter. And most of the times when you start to change your life, when you start to take that first step, you will be surprised how fast your life can change. Sometimes we stay stuck in a life for way too long, wasting so many years, so much time, which is also fine. Sometimes we need more time to process everything and to prepare for a big step. But most importantly, what I want to tell you, once your life changes, you will be surprised how quick you fall into the place where you're supposed to be. For me, I landed really quickly where I was supposed to be. And yeah, we sometimes think that we're losing time, but time is not the important factor, because yeah, your life can change in a split second. It can change so fast. And what truly matters is that you take this step, that you follow your heart and won't be too distracted by what your mind is telling you, what the people around you are telling you. So yeah, I hope this video helps to whoever's watching, and I'll be excited to share some more things if you're interested.